In 1971, on a quiet Sunday morning in Eugene, Oregon, Bill Bowerman was not thinking about breakfast. Instead, his mind raced through the endless possibilities of how to make running shoes better, lighter, faster, more grippy. As his wife Barbara cooked waffles across the kitchen counter, Bowerman's obsession with running and relentless pursuit for perfection took a turn that would forever change the world of athletic footwear. This is the story of how a humble coach destroyed a waffle iron to create a revolution. Bill Bowerman was not your average running coach. He wasn't content coaching athletes to win races. He wanted to redefine what it meant to run. His passion was rooted deeply in a restless mind and a heart that could not accept the status quo. The shoes on the market were heavy, clunky, and uninspired. Bowerman, who had coached at the University of Oregon for over 2 decades, believed that better shoes could slice precious seconds off a runner's time. What followed next? A fateful breakfast and a bold, somewhat insane idea. Before diving deeper, if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe. We bring you the most gripping stories from the engines, gears, and souls behind legendary brands and their unstoppable journeys. And while you're at it, drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? Eugene, Oregon, or perhaps somewhere halfway across the world? It's always incredible to see how far these stories travel. Bill Bowerman's early years were steeped in athletics and innovation. Born in 1911, he played football and ran track at the University of Oregon. After serving as a major in the United States Army's 10th Mountain Division during World War II, Bowerman returned to coaching, taking over the University of Oregon's track and field program in 1948. His influence was immediate and profound. Over the next 24 years, Bowerman would lead his teams to dominate collegiate track, producing 33 Olympians, multiple NCAA titles, and countless record breakers. Yet, it wasn't just about trophies for Bowerman. It was about pushing the limits of human potential. But what truly made Bowerman legendary goes beyond wins and medals. Like a relentless scientist trapped in an athlete's body, he obsessed over every detail that could offer his runners an edge. This included experimenting with training techniques, nutrition, even handcrafting their running shoes himself. As any coach can tell you, equipment can be the silent difference between victory and defeat. And Bowerman had a vision so peculiar, so disruptive, it involved hijacking a kitchen appliance. The scene at his kitchen that Sunday morning was ordinary no more. Bowerman watched his wife Barbara pour batter into the iron, making those familiar square grids. Suddenly, an idea took shape. What if the outlines of a waffle iron surface could be used to create a new type of shoe sole? One that offered better grip and was lighter than conventional spiked shoes. It was brilliant in its simplicity, almost ludicrous in its execution. Bowerman took the waffle iron and, with a mix of anticipation and calculated madness, poured urethane into its grids. The consequences: the waffle iron melted beyond repair, an appliance lost in the pursuit of innovation. But in its place, Bowerman had crafted the prototype of what would become the iconic Waffle Trainer. This shoe's sole mimicked the pattern of the iron's grid, which delivered unprecedented traction and cushioning. It wasn't just a shoe. It was an answer to every runner's silent prayer for better performance. This moment was the spark for a revolution that extended far beyond Bowerman's coaching legacy. It ignited the creation of Nike, a company that would go on to challenge Adidas, the global titan of the era. Nike's rise from Bowerman's destroyed waffle iron was not just a tale of innovation but one of passion, daring, and the refusal to settle for mediocrity. Before diving into this saga further, consider this: how many of the world's greatest inventions started similarly odd, almost by accident? The banana slicer, the microwave, even the post-it note. Bowerman's Waffle Trainer fits perfectly in this pantheon of unexpected genius born from simple moments. As we step forward through this journey, you'll hear about the fierce rivalry with Adidas, the challenges Bowerman and his former athlete Phil Knight faced building a company from the ground up, and how their shared obsession with performance fueled some of the most dramatic innovations the sporting world has ever witnessed. So, stick around, because the story of the Waffle Trainer is not just about shoes. It's about the hunger to break barriers, the thrill of defying giants, and the sweet taste of victory that emerges when obsession meets creativity. And to make sure you don't miss out on any twists and turns of this epic story, subscribe. Your journey into the heart of legendary innovations has just begun, and we want you with us every step of the way. In the end, Bowerman's wife might never have imagined that her waffle iron's destruction would be the breakfast that fueled a billion-dollar empire. Nor could the running world have predicted that a coach's relentless obsession would forever change what it means to chase speed. So buckle up. This is just the start of an epic tale that will run like no other you've heard before. Bill Bowerman's journey to becoming the track coach who would revolutionize athletic footwear began long before the waffle iron incident in 1971. Born in February of 1911, Bowerman was first and foremost an athlete himself, competing for the University of Oregon's track and football teams. His early exposure to competitive sports ignited a flame of ambition that would shape his entire career. His story is one of relentless pursuit, discipline, and an unyielding obsession with finding the tiniest advantage for his runners. After serving as a major in the Army's 10th Mountain Division during World War II, a chapter in his life brimming with grit and survival under harsh conditions, Bowerman returned to Oregon with a renewed sense of purpose. In 1948, he took over as head track and field coach at the University of Oregon, replacing the legendary Bill Hayward. Over the next 24 years, Bowerman's teams would cement their place among collegiate track's elite, winning 4 NCAA team championships and producing an astonishing 33 Olympians. But success was only half the story. It was the manner in which Bowerman approached coaching that distinguished him. Bowerman refused to accept the conventional wisdom of his time. Where other coaches preached simply logging endless miles, Bowerman pioneered a more scientific and tailored approach. He believed every athlete was unique and deserved a carefully customized training plan. This method combined rigorous attention to biomechanics with psychological preparation, a combination that set Bowerman's athletes apart. The legacy of this methodology lives on, influencing training regimes even decades after his retirement. His obsession stretched beyond workouts and tactics. Bowerman was deeply concerned with equipment, particularly running shoes. He had witnessed firsthand how poor footwear could limit a runner's performance and increase injury risks. He experimented constantly, even crafting custom shoes by hand in his garage. It was this hands-on tinkering, combined with meticulous observation, that catalyzed the creation of his groundbreaking innovations. Bowerman's athletes included icons like Steve Prefontaine, Kenny Moore, and Bill Dellinger, exceptional runners who thrived under his tutelage. Yet, Bowerman's competitive spirit never allowed for complacency. He pushed not just the athletes but also himself to perfect every element that could provide an edge. To him, every detail counted, from the texture of the track to the weight and grip of the shoes his runners wore. This relentless quest for excellence earned Bowerman both admiration and sometimes frustration. He was known as a tough, exacting coach, unafraid to experiment or challenge established traditions. His innovative spirit extended into pioneering high-altitude training, which he developed ahead of the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. This program helped athletes adapt to thin air conditions and was another testament to Bowerman's scientific approach to sport. Despite these accomplishments, Bowerman tried to avoid the label of coach. To him, coaching was more an art than a title, an infinite process of learning and adapting. His focus remained steadfast on the athletes, their potential, and how he could continue to push boundaries. Technology, training, and equipment all blended seamlessly into his vision of helping runners do more than compete. They were to dominate. Looking back, the seeds of Bowerman's later shoe innovation were planted during these transformative years. His hands-on obsession with shoe design was motivated by frustration with what was available. He understood intuitively that a marginal improvement in footwear could translate to a sizable leap in performance. This relentless pursuit of perfection, both as a coach and innovator, set the stage for the defining moment that would forever link his name to the sport and the industry. In this chapter of his career, Bowerman's story is as much about grit and dedication as it is about innovation. The University of Oregon became his testing ground, a proving ground where he refined ideas that would lead to a revolution in athletic footwear. His coaching achievements were impressive, but it was his obsession, his refusal to accept anything less than the best, that would eventually lay the foundation for a global sports empire. As we move forward into the story, consider how Bowerman's intense focus and unorthodox methods challenged the sports world status quo. His quest was not just about winning championships. It was about changing the very tools athletes used to compete. And it was this combination of tactical genius and technical innovation that would one day render an immovable giant like Adidas vulnerable. So, stick with us on this immersive journey through Bill Bowerman's obsession and the relentless drive of his Oregon team. The chapters ahead reveal how this perfectionist coach teamed up with a former runner named Phil Knight, and together, they transformed a factory-farm Japanese shoe distribution business into a legend that would forever change sports and culture worldwide. Bill Bowerman's tenure as head track coach at the University of Oregon between 1948 and 1972 was nothing short of legendary. His teams, famously dubbed the Men of Oregon, clinched 4 NCAA team championships and produced an astonishing 33 Olympians. These numbers not only signify success, they tell a story of relentless ambition, discipline, and a mind constantly seeking ways to refine human performance. Yet, under the surface of these triumphs lay a simmering crisis, a challenge that Bowerman knew could not be coached away: the limitations of athletic footwear. Bowerman's era was filled with moments that defined American distance running. His athletes, ranging from middle-distance runners to sprinters, shattered records and set new standards of competition. Among them were luminaries like Steve Prefontaine, whose fiery spirit embodied Bowerman's coaching ethos. But while the runners pushed their bodies to new extremes, their shoes remained a worryingly weak link. Bowerman often observed that on the track, even the finest physical conditioning could be undermined by poorly designed or excessively heavy shoes. The running shoes available at the time were often adapted from casual footwear or military surplus, lacking specialization. They were too stiff, too heavy, and offered insufficient grip. This problem became a constant thorn in Bowerman's side as he watched his athletes struggle with blisters, fatigue, and less than ideal traction. In an era when every fraction of a second counted, such equipment deficits were unacceptable. However, Bowerman was not one to stand idle. His solution was a holistic approach, improving not only training but also the environment and the gear. He advocated for the transformation of running surfaces, promoting the use of artificial tracks for better speed and safety. But the clearest expression of his inventive mind was his pursuit of better shoes, a journey quietly underway even as his athletes triumphed on dirt tracks nationwide. This problem, seemingly simple, carried layers of complexity. The shoe needed to be lightweight without sacrificing durability, offer grip without compromising speed, and provide comfort yet remain minimal to avoid wasting energy. It was a classic engineering challenge, one Bowerman faced not as an outsider but as a hands-on craftsman. Known for taking matters into his own hands, he experimented on shoe molds in his garage and worked closely with manufacturers to test prototypes. The urgency of the problem grew as Bowerman's influence expanded beyond collegiate competition. He took on the role of head coach for the United States track and field team at the 1972 Munich Olympics, a prestigious position that thrust him onto the world stage. There, the pressure to protect his athletes and give them every edge was immense. Yet, the shoes continued to be a source of concern. Meanwhile, a larger context loomed: the global domination of Adidas, the German sportswear giant that seemingly owned every major athletic event. Adidas shoes were everywhere, their iconic 3 stripes a symbol of excellence and tradition. For American runners to triumph, it would take not only skill and stamina but also a victory in the battle of technology and innovation. Bowerman's pursuit to solve this footwear problem was the catalyst for his groundbreaking invention. It pushed him into an obsession that would soon merge with the ambitions of one of his former athletes, Phil Knight. Together, their partnership would challenge Adidas's supremacy and redefine the industry. But this chapter is not one just of innovation. It is also a tale of tension, frustration, and the painstaking process of turning vision into reality. In essence, Bowerman knew that coaching champions was no longer enough. To win and to change the game, he needed to control every aspect of performance, including the shoes on his athletes' feet. This relentless pressure and determination paved the way for the iconic moment when a simple kitchen appliance, the waffle iron, became an unlikely hero. The problem was clear. The world's best athletes deserved better equipment. The solution, Bowerman's drive to build the perfect running shoe, was about to find its spark. As the story unfolds, the challenges Bowerman faced resonate beyond athletics. They echo the universal struggle of innovators pushing against entrenched industries and giant competitors. This is the moment where a humble coach's frustration with existing technology sets the stage for disruption, where the pursuit of perfection is as bitter as it is inspiring. And in the chapters to come, you will witness how this problem, born from necessity, became the impulse that ultimately defeated a global giant. In the early 1960s, the relationship between Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight was rooted in shared passion and mutual respect. Bowerman, revered as Oregon's legendary track coach, had helped transform countless athletes into Olympians. Knight, a talented middle-distance runner and Bowerman's former student, was driven by dreams of creating better athletic shoes. Their partnership was born from this convergence of ambition, and it would soon evolve into a global empire that would challenge industry giants. It all began in 1964, when a handshake sealed the founding of Blue Ribbon Sports, a modest startup with one clear goal: to improve athletic footwear. Bowerman contributed his engineering genius and obsession with perfection, crafting prototypes in his garage, while Knight used his business acumen and relentless drive to get the brand off the ground. Their collaboration exemplified a perfect blend of sales, innovation, and marketing. The initial idea was simple yet revolutionary: import Japanese shoes that could outperform American and German brands. However, Bowerman's relentless perfectionism soon led to radical innovations. He experimented with different materials, designs, and soles in search of the ideal. These early prototypes often involved improvisation, using whatever resources he could find, including rubber from old tires or pieces of foam. His obsession was to create a shoe that was lightweight, durable, and provided superior traction. Meanwhile, Knight's role was to handle distribution and sales at track meets across the United States. His charm, talent for storytelling, and knack for convincing athletes to try their new shoes rapidly built a loyal following. The partnership flourished, and by the late 1960s, Blue Ribbon Sports was making significant strides. Yet, the true breakthrough was still ahead, lurking in Bowerman's restless mind. Throughout this period, Bowerman's obsession with improving athletic performance was driven by one core principle: every ounce of weight, every seam, and every design feature had to serve a purpose. His relentless refinement of shoe design led to countless prototypes, often forged from innovative materials and unconventional methods. His desire was to push the limits of what a shoe could do, turning ordinary footwear into a true extension of the athlete's body. One of his most famous experiments was the development of a lighter, more flexible sole. He wanted to replace the heavy, clunky shoes that dominated the market with something that could help runners move faster and more efficiently. This pursuit of perfection, however, was not without setbacks. Many prototypes failed, and Bowerman faced frustration and skepticism from the industry and even some of his own team. Despite these hurdles, Bowerman's dedication never wavered. He saw each failure as a stepping stone toward innovation. His obsession with detail and quality was matched only by his desire to see his athletes excel. The relationship with Nike was instrumental in this journey. Nike's business instincts kept their mission financially viable, while Bowerman's technical ingenuity fueled their innovations. The early successes and failures laid the groundwork for what would become a defining moment: the creation of a shoe that combined Bowerman's scientific expertise with Nike's marketing brilliance. It was a brand that would emphasize performance, innovation, and a relentless quest to push human limits. Their partnership was already shaking the foundations of the athletic footwear industry, but it was only the beginning. As we look at this pivotal chapter, it's essential to appreciate how Bowerman's obsessive perfectionism and unyielding pursuit of improvement were instrumental in challenging dominant brands like Adidas. His meticulous focus on every detail allowed him to see possibilities others overlooked. The partnership with Nike was built on this mutual drive for excellence, and their combined effort would soon lead to the legendary product that would revolutionize sportswear forever. In conclusion, the story of how Bowerman's obsession with creating the ultimate athletic shoe took root is a testament to the power of relentless innovation. The partnership with Phil Knight was about more than business. It was about redefining what was possible. As the journey continues, remember that the finest innovations often come from the most obsessive minds, those who refuse to accept the status quo and see failure as merely part of the process. This chapter is not only a glance into the early days of Nike, but also a reflection of the relentless pursuit of perfection that drives all true innovators. Through Bowerman's obsession and Knight's vision, a simple partnership in 1964 would later challenge a global industry, an enduring legacy of determination, ingenuity, and relentless passion. In the 1960s and early 70s, Adidas was not just a company. It was a near-unstoppable force that dominated the world of sports. With its iconic three stripes and sponsorship deals that spanned from Jesse Owens' Olympic triumph in 1936 to the FIFA World Cup, Adidas had etched its place as the symbol of athletic excellence. To say that Adidas reigned supreme would be an understatement. It owned the very fabric of global competitive sports. Adidas's mastery was both in engineering and marketing, creating shoes that were viewed as the gold standard. Every track, field, and court whispered the company's name, and the brand's dominance was reflected not only in athletes' feet, but in culture itself. The company's products were considered synonymous with victory, innovation, and prestige. To athletes and competitors around the globe, Adidas seemed like an immovable giant, an impenetrable fortress that no challenger could topple. This dominance, however, posed a daunting challenge for any upstart. For Bowerman, Knight, and their fledgling venture, the terrain was treacherous. How do you challenge an empire that had already laid claim to the most coveted titles and the most celebrated stars? It was a strategic and psychological battle as much as a technical one. The bar was set extraordinarily high, and the expectation was that Adidas was unbeatable. The 1970s were not just a period of competition but of fierce rivalry. Adidas had pioneered innovations such as the screw-in stud that revolutionized football shoes and invested heavily in sponsorship deals that gave it visibility and influence. The company's reach extended deep into every major sporting event, turning it into the de facto uniform of champions. This intense saturation was a shrewd combination of product excellence and marketing prowess. Moreover, Adidas's control over the market came with a level of quality and reliability that created unwavering loyalty among athletes. It wasn't simply a brand. It was a statement of authenticity and performance. For Bowerman and Knight's Blue Ribbon Sports to stand a chance, they would need more than just ambition. They required a product that could outperform the established giant in every measurable way. This context paints the true difficulty Bowerman and Knight faced. They were David against Goliath in an industry where, unlike the biblical tale, running fast required more than a sling and stones. It demanded unmatched innovation, impeccable design, and the courage to disrupt an industry resistant to change. Adidas's grip on the market was not merely a commercial reality, but a symbol of athletic tradition and national pride. Yet, it was from the shadows of this seemingly permanent dominance that innovation emerged. The growing frustration with the limitations of conventional running shoes planted a seed of rebellion. Bowerman's insistence on crafting superior footwear and Knight's willingness to take business risks were acts of quiet defiance. They set out to build not just a shoe but a statement, a challenger that would demand attention, respect, and finally market share. This chapter of history embodies the quintessential David versus Goliath narrative but with real-world stakes. The fight to disrupt a global empire through ingenuity and relentless drive. Bowerman's obsession with the perfect running shoe was about more than athletic success. It was about toppling the seemingly invincible. The challenges ahead were immense, but so was the ambition. And it was within these challenges that the next great leap, the waffle sole innovation, would arise. As we journey forward, keep in mind how Adidas's dominion was both a barrier and a beacon, forcing Bowerman and Knight into a crucible of innovation that would change the very of athletic footwear. The next chapters dive deep into that breakthrough moment, born from breakfast waffles and relentless grit, that would forever shift the balance of power. The story of a humble coach and his former athlete stands as a testament to the spirit of innovation and the courage to challenge giants. In this tale, it was not enough to play the game, they had to change it. And change it they would, starting with one simple, genius idea that transformed the world's approach to running shoes. It was a typical Sunday morning in 1971 at the Bowerman household, but what happened next would forever alter the landscape of running shoes and shape the future of athletic performance. Bill Bowerman sat at the kitchen table, watching his wife Barbara prepare breakfast. As the familiar sound of the waffle iron closing echoed through the room, a sudden spark of inspiration cracked through Bowerman's relentless obsession with improving his runner's shoes. The simple grid pattern embossed on the surface of the waffle iron morphed in his mind into a revolutionary design for a running shoe sole. Bowerman's thought process was classic innovation born from frustration and necessity. He had long studied how the heavy spikes and clunky soles of existing shoes limited traction and added unnecessary weight, factors that could cost an athlete valuable seconds. The waffle iron's grid reminded him of the potential for multiple contact points on the sole, offering better grip while using less rubber material. It was lightweight yet functional. It was quirky yet ingenious. But Bowerman was no stranger to experimentation. The idea that something as mundane as a kitchen appliance could lead to sports innovation did not intimidate him. Instead, it fueled his passion. Almost immediately, he sprang from the table and secured the waffle iron to begin pouring urethane liquid rubber into the iron's grids, a material he hoped would provide durability and flexibility for the new sole. This was no smooth process. His early attempts resulted in melted waffle irons, burnt rubber, and a kitchen filled with acrid smoke. Barbara's waffle maker was destroyed beyond repair, a small casualty in the pursuit of breakthrough innovation. Despite the chaos, Bowerman's determination never wavered. He meticulously tested each prototype, working late into the night and returning to the lab day after day. His obsession to create the perfect running shoe sole meant countless iterations, each refining the grip, weight, and overall performance. The result was a sole that bore the mark of the waffle iron, distinctive ridges and grids that allowed runners superior traction on varied terrains, cushioning on impact, and reduced fatigue due to lighter weight. This breakthrough was more than just a functional upgrade. It was a radical rethinking of shoe design. Previous running shoes had relied on flat or minimally treaded soles, while Bowerman's design introduced a multi-dimensional approach to grip and shock absorption. His runners reported feeling more connected to the track, with improved stability and speed. The waffle sole, as it came to be known, was at the heart of this transformation. Bowerman's kitchen experiment culminated in the prototype of what would be called the Nike Moon shoe, a name inspired by the sole's resemblance to the footprints left on the moon's surface during the Apollo missions. The Moon shoe debuted at the 1972 Olympic trials, where its innovative tread pattern wowed athletes and competitors alike. Beyond the technical marvel, the shoe symbolized Bowerman's philosophy. relentless creativity combined with practical application under pressure. This epiphany was a turning point not just for Bowerman or Nike but for the entire athletic footwear industry. The story of the waffle iron sole exemplifies how innovation can spring from the most unexpected places, emphasizing the importance of curiosity and bold experimentation. It revealed that greatness in sports equipment comes not only from sophisticated labs or large budgets, but from the willingness to think differently, embrace risk, and transform simple ideas into world-changing designs. Following this success, Bowerman secured patent number 3,793,750 in February 1974 for his athletic shoe design featuring the iconic waffle sole. This patent was not merely a legal protection. It was a proclamation of the arrival of a new era. Nike ramped up production of the Waffle Trainer, and athletes quickly adopted it, attracted by its superior traction and lightness. Running, which had been transformed incrementally over the years, exploded onto a new plateau. The legacy of Bowerman's breakfast epiphany remains deeply ingrained in Nike's DNA. This single moment of inspiration, born from a simple household appliance, became the foundation for a multi-billion-dollar brand that would go on to innovate further with designs like Visible Air and Flyknit. Proves that sometimes the big ideas start with humble beginnings, the quiet moments when curiosity meets courage. As we continue this story, consider the ripple effects. The waffle sole didn't just change shoes, it changed running biomechanics, athlete training, and how companies approached innovation. Bowerman's victory was not just technical. It was cultural, setting Nike on a trajectory to dethrone giants like Adidas. And it all started with breakfast. This chapter encapsulates the magic of invention and the power of obsession. Bowerman's relentless quest for perfection and his ability to see beyond the obvious transformed the sports world forever. What seemed like a simple breakfast appliance became a symbol of innovation, perseverance, and the unyielding pursuit of excellence. The road ahead was challenging, but Bowerman's breakthrough ensured that Nike was ready to run the race of its life and win. The moment of inspiration in Bowerman's kitchen soon turned into a frantic ritual of trial and error. The destruction of Barbara's Belgian waffle iron was only the beginning. Bowerman had poured urethane, a flexible and durable liquid rubber, into the iron's grids, hoping this new sole would transform running shoes forever. But the process was far from simple. Melting, sticking, and rebound issues plagued the first attempts. His kitchen became a war zone of failed experiments, burnt rubber, and stubborn materials refusing to cooperate. What few realized at the time was how much grit and determination went into making that first prototype. Bowerman wasn't just an armchair innovator. He was hands-on, mixing and remolding soles late into the night. His obsession with detail meant refining even the smallest ridges and grooves to get just the right traction and weight. Some nights, Barbara would find urethane stains on the countertops or melted plastic in the sink. The ruined waffle iron, a household casualty, symbolized the price of this passion. Despite his enthusiasm, Bowerman faced skepticism. Many in the athletic community dismissed his waffle sole as a whimsical experiment unlikely to succeed. After all, sports shoe design was rigidly traditional, and manufacturers considered such offbeat approaches risky and unproven. But Bowerman pressed on, empowered by the conviction that a revolution was possible and necessary. Alongside the sole itself, Bowerman tackled the challenge of integrating the new design into a full running shoe. This involved experimenting with lightweight uppers and flexible materials that could complement the waffle sole's revolutionary traction. His garage workshop became a makeshift R&D lab where muffled dictations of lighter, grip, and stability echoed endlessly. Adding to the urgency was the looming 1972 Olympic trials, scheduled at the University of Oregon's Hayward Field. Bowerman wanted his athletes, many of whom he personally coached, to test the new shoes on the biggest stage in track and field. The pressure to deliver was intense. Success at these trials could validate months of obsessive work. Failure could mean returning to the drawing board. The first athletes to wear these shoes experienced noticeably improved performance. The waffle sole offered superior traction without adding weight or discomfort, making sharp turns and sprints more efficient. Anecdotes from runners who felt like they were running on air quickly spread, generating buzz in athletic circles. Still, Bowerman remained focused on the details, pushing tweaks and adjustments to maximize durability and grip. The Waffle Trainer prototype marked the beginning of a seismic shift in sports shoe technology. It brought a new vocabulary of design centered on function and innovation. Bowerman's ruined waffle iron was more than a kitchen accident. It was the catalyst that ignited decades of relentless experimentation, culminating in Nike's widespread success. Barbara's initial frustration with her destroyed appliance eventually softened into pride. The waffle iron's sacrifice became a legendary part of Nike's birth story, told and retold as a symbol of passion and innovation. This chapter in Bowerman's obsession underscores how risk, failure, and messy breakthroughs are often the true companions of groundbreaking success. Looking back, the shoes that originated from polyurethane spilled into a kitchen appliance had traveled far beyond that first messy experiment. The Waffle Trainer's unique grip was not only a technical marvel, it was a psychological game-changer. Nike had started to chisel its identity as a company willing to challenge conventions and persevere. As we move forward, it's important to hold on to this image. A fiercely determined coach blending chemistry and tread patterns in a kitchen, defying the odds and rewriting the rules of sports footwear. The road ahead is still long, but this ruined appliance laid the foundation for future innovations that would propel Nike into global dominance. The tale of urethane and waffles is a classic story of how passion, obsession, and a bit of destruction can seed an empire. It reminds us that legends are often born out of chaos and destruction. Sometimes the most valuable sacrifices are right under our nose, or in this case, in the kitchen. This pivotal chapter illustrates the messy, challenging reality behind every game-changing idea. Bowerman's journey from a destroyed waffle iron to a functional sole exemplifies the essence of innovation: persistence against failure. Nike was no longer just a brand. It was a movement, and this was the moment the movement truly began to take shape. The year 1972 marked a pivotal moment for Bill Bowerman, Nike, and the world of running shoes. The innovative sole pattern he had conceived using his wife's waffle iron was finally ready to take center stage. This new design was something unprecedented. A sole that combined lightweight durability with exceptional traction thanks to its distinctive waffle grid. The shoe that emerged from this design process was dubbed the Moon Shoe, a name inspired by the texture of the footprints left on the lunar surface during the Apollo missions. The 1972 Olympic trials, held at Bowerman's home track in Eugene, Oregon, became the debut event for the Moon Shoe. It was not just another shoe release. It was the culmination of years of obsessive tinkering and testing. The trials offered Bowerman's athletes the ideal testing grounds to demonstrate the shoe's advantages under real-world, high-stakes competition conditions. The grip and cushioning provided by the waffle sole allowed runners to push harder with less fatigue and more confidence. The introduction of the Moon Shoe was met with enthusiasm and some awe. Athletes immediately noticed the difference the shoe made. It was responsive on the cinder track and provided a level of traction previously unseen without the need for heavy spikes. The perils of losing time due to slipping or inefficient hamming were mitigated by this new design. The Moon Shoe became an instant icon, setting the stage for Nike's eventual rise to dominance. Beyond the technical breakthrough, this moment signified the emergence of Nike as a true innovator in athletic footwear. The company was no longer just distributing imported shoes. It was manufacturing cutting-edge products born from a blend of obsession, creativity, and scientific inquiry. The 18-month journey from prototype to field-ready shoe was a testament to Bowerman's perseverance and willingness to challenge the shoe industry's conventions. In February 1974, Bowerman's invention was officially recognized with patent number 3,793,750. The patent described an athletic shoe sole designed with multi-sided polygonal traction elements, a subtle technical description that belied the seismic impact the sole would have on every surface from track and field to public pavement. With patent in hand, Nike formally launched the Waffle Trainer commercially in 1974. It was designed not only for elite athletes but for everyday runners who desired better performance and comfort. The Waffle Trainer's unique sole design made it an instant hit for its functionality and innovative approach to cushioning and grip, reflecting Bowerman's original vision. This shoe revolutionized the industry's perspective on what athletic footwear could achieve. It started the trend of focusing on outsole design as a critical factor in performance rather than merely protecting the foot. Over time, the Waffle Trainer helped propel Nike from a small, scrappy startup into a powerhouse brand. This iconic innovation paved the way for further breakthroughs like the air cushioning system and Flyknit uppers. The Moon shoe and its successor, the Waffle Trainer, were more than products. They were cultural touchstones. They symbolized the merger of American ingenuity, sport, and entrepreneurial spirit. Bowerman's obsession and tireless experimentation culminated in something tangible, a shoe that changed how athletes ran and how companies thought about performance. As we reflect on this chapter, it's clear that 1972 was more than just an Olympic year. It was the year when a kitchen appliance-inspired innovation stepped out of the shadows and into the spotlight. Bowerman's Moon shoe walked onto the world stage, forever altering the future of athletic footwear and setting Nike on a trajectory to challenge, and eventually surpass, industry titans. The story of the Moon shoe intertwines with the broader narrative of Bowerman's and Nike's rise, full of grit, brilliance, and the kind of relentless obsession that breaks molds. It is a reminder that the path to revolutionary success is often paved with unexpected twists and humble beginnings. The waffle iron's legacy lives on, not only in shoes but in the spirit of innovation and determination that Bowerman embodied. With this breakthrough, Nike was no longer just a player in the industry. It was becoming the heart of a running revolution. And while the Moon shoe was the first step on this path, it was also a giant leap toward the future of sport. By 1974, Nike was ready to make its boldest move yet, the commercial launch of the Waffle Trainer. This astonishing shoe, born from a destroyed waffle iron and Bowerman's obsession, was not just a new product. It was a challenge aimed squarely at the global giant, Adidas. The Waffle Trainer made clear that Nike was no longer a small startup, but a fierce competitor determined to redefine the shoe market. The Waffle Trainer's secret was its innovative outsole, which dramatically improved traction and reduced weight, giving runners a distinct advantage. Athletes who switched to the Waffle Trainer reported better grip on wet and dry surfaces, reduced fatigue, and increased speed. This wasn't simply a tweak in design. It was an outright revolution. Retailers and runners alike were stunned by the shoe's performance and aesthetics, and demand soared as word spread. Nike's in-house innovation was amplified by strategic marketing that capitalized on the shoe's unique story and performance. The narrative of a humble coach's obsessive tinkering, leading to the creation of a shoe that could outpace Adidas, struck a chord. Nike craftily marketed the Waffle Trainer as not just footwear but a symbol of American ingenuity and the relentless spirit of competition. The swoosh logo became synonymous with breakthrough technology and authenticity. This launch marked a seismic shift in the athletic shoe industry. Adidas, which had long enjoyed unparalleled market dominance, suddenly faced a credible threat emerging from a once small distributor and a singular coach's passion. The rivalry intensified, with Adidas focusing on maintaining its stronghold in soccer and international markets, while Nike poured resources into running and American consumers. The Waffle Trainer's success also helped establish Nike's reputation as an innovator willing to challenge orthodoxies. The company's commitment to research and development grew exponentially, leading to groundbreaking technologies like Nike Air, which would further disrupt the field. But the Waffle Trainer's impact was immediate and tangible. It helped Nike gain serious market share, and created a loyal base of athletes who swore by its performance. The competition between Nike and Adidas in this period was both a battle of products and a fight for cultural relevance. While Adidas represented European sporting heritage and tradition, Nike embodied a dynamic and youthful American spirit. Bowerman and Knight understood this and leveraged it, positioning Nike as the brand for the underdog, the innovator, the relentless challenger. The Waffle Trainer declared war on Adidas not just in stores and on tracks, but in the hearts of customers globally. It catalyzed Nike's growth from a niche brand to a dominant global powerhouse. The shoe's iconic design would influence decades of footwear innovation, and its story became a legend of determination and creativity, triumphing over established might. As Nike gained momentum, the roar of competition pushed both companies to new levels of innovation and marketing savvy. Bowerman's obsession with his craft, combined with Knight's bold business maneuvers, had created a formidable force capable of reshaping the entire industry landscape. The Waffle Trainer was not only a product, it was a statement of intent, a loud proclamation that the age of Nike had arrived. This chapter illustrates the transformative power of obsessive innovation and strategic vision. The Waffle Trainer was a key weapon in Nike's arsenal, setting it on a path to dethrone Adidas and dominate the sportswear world. It reminds us that sometimes, victory comes not from the biggest or the oldest player, but from those who dare to think differently and work tirelessly to make that vision real. As the story continues toward the final chapters, remember the Waffle Trainer's legacy. Not simply as a shoe, but as a symbol of challenge, change, and the unstoppable rise of a brand born from obsession and a ruined waffle iron. Bill Bowerman's fascination with the perfect running shoe didn't stop at the waffle sole. His pioneering spirit and obsessive innovation laid the foundation for decades of groundbreaking advancements that would propel Nike to global dominance. The Waffle Trainer was only the beginning. As the brand grew, Nike pushed the innovation envelope further, developing technologies that redefined athletic performance and sneaker culture worldwide. One of the most significant milestones following the Waffle Trainer's success was the introduction of Nike Air technology in the late 1970s. Invented by aerospace engineer Marion Franklin Rudy, who was fascinated by the potential of using pressurized air for cushioning, this technology introduced air-filled pockets within shoe soles to provide unprecedented shock absorption and energy return. It first appeared commercially in the Nike Air Tailwind of 1978, paving the way for a revolution in comfort and performance. The Air technology symbolized Nike's commitment to marrying with sport, a philosophy deeply rooted in Bowerman's relentless experimentation. It transformed not just running shoes but broadened Nike's impact across basketball, training, and lifestyle markets. The visible Air units, first showcased in the iconic Air Max 1 in 1987, fused function with a striking aesthetic, making sneakers a cultural phenomenon beyond the track. Nike's meteoric rise also involved savvy marketing and endorsements, including collaborations with some of the greatest athletes in history such as Michael Jordan. These partnerships elevated the brand's visibility and prestige, allowing Nike to bridge the worlds of athletics, fashion, and popular culture. The spirit of innovation ignited in Bowerman's kitchen endured in every campaign, design, and product launch. Despite global success, the core of Nike's ambition remained unchanged, a relentless pursuit to push boundaries and redefine what was possible in sportswear. Bowerman's original obsession with improving performance continued to influence Nike's research and development, inspiring innovations like Flyknit uppers, Zoom air cushioning, and sustainable manufacturing practices. Each breakthrough was an evolution of the same spirit that destroyed a waffle iron for a better grip. The legacy of Bill Bowerman's breakfast epiphany lives on, not just in the shoes but in the culture of innovation that Nike embodies today. The waffle iron, once buried in Bowerman's backyard, is now a symbol of American creativity and determination, a humble reminder that greatness often emerges from the most unexpected places. Nike's journey, from a coach's obsession to a multinational sportswear titan with a market capitalization exceeding $70 billion, affirms the power of vision, resilience, and the courage to disrupt. It reminds us that every giant was once a challenger, and every revolution begins with a single bold idea. As this story closes, the call to action is clear. Embrace curiosity, value persistence, and remain unafraid of destruction, for these are the ingredients that fuel progress. Share this story in the comments below and join the community, where we celebrate the legends who have changed the game. Bowerman's sickening obsession was the spark, the waffle iron the unlikely hero, but it was the spirit of innovation and daring that transformed the world of sport and fashion forever. From worn-out trainers to the pinnacle of design, Nike's story is a relentless pursuit of excellence and a testament to what obsession can achieve when paired with vision and courage.